All right, I call this board meeting of the Parks and Rec Board for Tuesday, April 28th, 2026. The time is 6:01. If, Mr. Director, you'll do roll call?
Yes, sir. Member Lapardus. Did I say that correctly? Yes. Okay, perfect. Member Mapes.
Present.
Member Cooper.
Present.
Member Keys.
Present.
Member Wilson. Present. Member Collier.
Present.
Member Scott.
Present.
All are present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I do see that we have a personal appearance today on our agenda. Steve, do you want to introduce her, please?
Sure. I'd like to introduce Isla Schultz, coming up from Troop 7032. She is wanting to do an Eagle Scout project here to help us out a little bit, and it would be greatly appreciated. And I will pass it off to Isla to give her a presentation.
Mic on there. There you go.
Good afternoon, guys. My name is Isla. I'm from 7032. We meet at the church that's right across the street. I've been in Scouts for like 5 years now, and I think it's about time I get my Eagle. So I'm looking to completely tear down and replace the tennis backboard over near the tennis courts by the Raymore Activity Center. Right now, it looks worn and warped, and the corners are kind of folding inwards. I'm just, a tennis player seeing a community issue that needs to be fixed. Project date-wise, May 9th, so coming up pretty soon. That's when I plan on taking it down, using our lumber, and completely rebuilding it. Reuse-wise, I would like to reuse metal backings, the things that fasten it to the fence. Other than that, hardware-wise, we're not going to reuse anything. We want it to be as safe as possible, so we're getting donations from Lowe's and from Menards. Menards will be supplying our lumber. Lowe's will be supplying, hopefully, our hardware, but for sure our paint and our other paint rollers, supplies like that. Other than that, do you guys have any questions about my project?
Any question? Yeah, go for it.
How many scouts are going to help you do this? Because aren't you in charge?
Yes, I will be in charge if my dad lets me take the lead, that is. I will be in charge scouts-wise. I expect 10 scouts, and to match that in adults, because we do have to have adults on the site to use power tools. Kids can use screwdrivers, hammers, but not the big saws to cut plywood.
It sounds like a really good project. I like that it's something that you have an interest in, being a tennis player and then seeing it for the community needs. So any questions I had about all this stuff was you already answered in your presentation, so very good job.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing it. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Yep. All right. Where are we? Oh. All right. Now looking for consent of agenda, the approval of the minutes from our February 24th meeting, as we didn't meet in March. Do I have a first?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move that for the approval of the minutes of February 24th, 1926, the board meeting of the Raymore Parks and Recreation as written.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Having a first and second? No. Yeah. That's what you said 1920s. Having a first and second, no, any need for discussion? All those in favor? Passes, how many? 7-0, 1 absent. Dan did. I only seconded the 19. Yeah, he wanted it second. We'll go back next. We'll move on to staff report. I'll pass it over to Director Mustine.
Thank you, sir. I will ask Mr. Brennan to do a recreation report.
Thank you, sir. Park Chair, members of the board, I have submitted a written report. However, today I'm going to delegate this. I've asked both Nick and Cecilia to come and give brief reports on their programs and events. And so athletic coordinator Nick Cook drew the short straw first. So I'm going to ask him to come up and give a report first.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you guys for having me. As Todd mentioned, I'm going to give a report over our spring sports, the sports that are currently taking place, as well as our upcoming sports. Right now for soccer, we have a total of 36 teams, 357 participants. That is a little bit down from our past spring season, but we have seen increases in our social soccer program. So there's a little bit of a balancing act between those two sports. With volleyball, we have 21 teams and 210 participants. It's one team rise and a 7-player participant rise. The most we've ever had in volleyball for both fall or spring volleyball. For flag football, we have 32 teams and 309 participants. That is, what's that? 4 more teams than last spring and 49 more players than last spring. That's our biggest increased sport for the spring and the most ever participants we've had in flag football. For baseball, softball, and t-ball, which is our upcoming sport, they just started practicing this week actually. We have 51 teams and 600 participants. That's the most amount of participants in that sport since 2017 when the Royals were actually decent. Last spring we had 46 teams and 515, so pretty good increase in that sport as well. Tiny soccer is currently taking place. Tonight is actually Tuesday's session, their last session. They'll be wrapping up this week. We have 93 participants in that sport. Tiny T-ball will start up in June. There's 82 in that program as well. Soccer, flag football, and volleyball should be finishing up by May 16th if we can keep the rain away. And then baseball, softball, and t-ball will be starting up May 18th. So pretty quick turnaround for the parents and the families. But other than that, do you guys have any questions for me?
Any questions? Now's our chance to grill them. I think you got away with it, Nick.
Perfect. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, part 2. I'm going to ask Recreation Coordinator Walter to come up and give a staff report. Walter.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing tonight? Good. Thank you, Nick, for your breakdown of all of the sports. So for my part, we've got a lot of stuff going on. Events-wise, programs, summer camp's starting up soon, but I'll start with our Honor Brick Drive. That deadline's coming up April 30th. We currently have 150 submitted. We anticipate a few more to trickle in by that deadline. And then those will be unveiled at the Bricks and Block Party on June 25th this year. Moving forward to our Movie in the Bark, or Bark in the Park movie night, that's this Friday. We are showing Oliver and Company, classic. And we have 2 in-kind sponsors for that, Community Bank of Raymore and Happy Howie's Treats. Fun fact, they smell like human food, and it tricked the office earlier this week, thinking that there was jerky in there for us, and it was not for us. It was for the dogs. Summer camp. Summer camp will start up June 1. Registrations are trickling in. We have parent meetings coming up on May 7th and then May 18th. We'll see a lot more come in after that, I anticipate. Farmers market's coming up. We've got 25 applicants for that, hoping to kind of beef up those numbers a little more. We have another meeting, or we have our first vendors meeting on May 4th, coming up in TB Hanna. For that, we're excited to add Party in the Park. It's going to be one time a month to kind of bring more visibility to the farmers market. We're going to have some sort of entertainment, a kids craft, and more food trucks kind of come in to have at the park. So that one's going to be used a lot this year. We're excited to see what the capacity is for that. I think that's about it up until June. We'll have a lot more fun coming up then after that. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions?
I just have one, and only because I'm really bad at keeping up on what's going on in the city, and I should not even admit that. But will this year the farmer's market be over by TB Hanna?
Yes, sir.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So I think once that happens, then the word will get out, and then you'll need more room. Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Cecile.
Thank you.
I will ask Mr. Rulo to give a parks report.
Thank you. I had submitted a written report, wanted to touch on a few key items. Just wanted to let you know, if you're driving down Lucy Webb on the south end of Memorial Park, there's going to be a new art piece going in, an art sculpture going in there here next month, mid-June. And the guys went down, cut up couple Bradfords out, some of them old boxwoods, cleaned it up, tilled it up. We're planting grass seed down there. Looks really nice, opened it up the south end a little bit. So the guys did a really good job on that. The tree project over at TB Hanna, if you haven't been by there lately, looks a lot different. It's open, but looks really nice. Looks a lot cleaner. The project is probably about 85% done. They got to grind up a couple more stumps and do a couple more cleanups of the trees, and everything will be taken care of. And lastly, I just want to say thank you to the board. The decision you guys made last fall or last summer with that Toro mower for our guys has worked out tremendously. Much faster. We can mow when the grass is wetter. Thank goodness for the way the weather is this year. But it is a great piece of machinery. If you want to give me another one, I'll take it. That's all I got. I'll take any questions.
Any questions? No. Thank you, Steve.
All right, I will wrap up staff reports real quick. I do want to highlight, last night at the city council meeting, I brought the athletic numbers that Nick presented to you guys tonight to the city council, just to let them know where we're at in terms of our year-to-year comparisons with ourselves versus also the comparison with the other cities that we share games with. And I think Nick and Todd underestimate the impact that they have on our community in terms of what they provide, the level and the quality that they provide. The irony is, over the weekend, there was a grumbling about parking at Recreation Park on social media, and as you know, as the board, this is every year for us. We know that Recreation Park is packed, and we know that by its name itself, that is where most of the recreation occurs in town. And everybody wants the 9 and 10 o'clock morning slots, and everybody wants to be done with it and over on their weekend, and everybody wants the best fields, and all of that happens at Recreation Park. My point saying is, a parking issue on a Saturday morning is a really good problem for us to have, because that means we're doing something right. What it also means is it gives us an opportunity to look at ways we can expand our parking, increase usage of other parks, and so it presents us different challenges that we can get to. Sorry, I'm dealing with a little bit of a cough here lately. So I presented that to the council last night, and I wanted the board to know that. They're very, very pleased with the work that our staff are doing. Also, last night at the council, the mayor read a proclamation for Arbor Day, which is now today. We're wrapping up our Arbor Day in Raymore right now. We will actually wrap up with a final photo over at Centerview by the end of the evening. And we had a proclamation last night. It's gonna be a long night. This keeps happening. And my last project, Steve mentioned the trees over at TB Hanna. That's part of that's the beginning of the phase 2 of TB Hanna, as you guys all know on the board. And we'll discuss more of that here in a few minutes in our work session. But also with that is the demolition of the White House. If you drive by there now, you'll see a track hoe out there, and a dumpster was delivered today, so that house should be coming down within the week. And once that's done, the tree company wraps that up, grinds those stumps. They'll grade all that out there, make the park nice and pretty, and sow some seed, and we'll just have a nice, clean, open green space until we get moving. So this was really the prepping the place for the next phase is what these projects were. So should be coming to a close here in the next 10 to 15 days. And that concludes staff report. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Oh, man, I'm gonna die.
Go ahead, Dan.
For our parking issue, when it is full, where are people going? Are they parking in the neighborhoods? Are they parking in a different parking lot? Like, what are people doing?
Well, from what we have noticed, when it is full, they're finding cracks between our boulders, and they're parking in the grass all over the park. They're parking in the neighborhoods and walking. I think they're getting creative. A lot of times they're just driving around until one opens up, which is also creating a problem. But we do recognize it, and we'll discuss during our work sessions as we talk about future projects and stuff, how we can address that. I know that the athletic department, Nick and Todd, have been discussing the different ways you can schedule games and spread them out. But the problem is we're already going a full 8 to 9 hours of games throughout the day. Some portions of the day are much more packed. I mean, 9, 10, 11 o'clock is like prime, going to be busy, more so than 2, 3, and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But there's so many things to consider, referees of every sport and availability and all of those things. I mean, there's a lot to take in when you build in a schedule. So we encourage people to park at Moon Valley and walk there. We encourage people to park at the skate park on those Saturday mornings because there's availability there. We're not opposed to parking in some of that grass area there at the skate park and walking over. One of our projects coming up is we have a change order submitted to the city manager if he approves to connect the skate park and that parking lot with a 10-foot wide trail to the rack so that you're not walking through the grass to get there. It does make it a connected parking lot. That adds 20, 25 spaces right there. You know, some folks are parking there anyway that don't mind walking through the grass, but on a spring morning, it's wet, right? So we're doing the little things like that, but we do have some other ideas that we'll address. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, I was just trying to understand what what the impact was on the green areas of the park as well as the neighborhoods around, and if by parking in the grass when it's wet, or people were causing damage to the green areas or anything like that. And then I was also just wanting to see if they were utilizing the 3 other parking lots, so the skate park and then up by the Public Works, if people were utilizing all those. And then if it is full, I think it would be good on our end to identify, hey, you can park in this green area, or hey, stay off of this green area. I think that would be important to have some sort of overflow like idea where we would want to direct people.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I was getting.
Over the course of the 10 years I've been back, one of the things you'll notice at Rec Park are the larger boulders. We've been installing them in the areas we don't want people to pull in and park because those were problem areas. And so as we've built new parking lots, especially at the rack, and they're curbed, so you have to hop a curb to get into the grass, or you have to breach one of the boulders. And so we've been trying to eliminate the problem areas we don't want people to park. So for example, I mean, we're not encouraging people to park on the grass, but up by the skate park, that yard that used to be in the front of the old park house, there's no curbs on that parking lot. If they pull into the grass to overflow there, it's okay. We're not gonna throw a fit about that. Eventually, that's one of the areas that we plan to expand as parking anyway. So I think we're doing a good job of eliminating the problem areas we don't want them to park, but there's always gonna be some that just hop a curb and go anywhere, and you can't do anything about that, you know? Yeah, that's just part of it.
Any other questions? Nope. All right. Doesn't look like we have any unfinished business. Let's go ahead and move on to new business. And if Director Mustine has had a drink and his voice is ready, we'll move on.
Yes, thank you. First item tonight is our fiscal 27 schedule of fees. This is our list of identified fee structure, basically for rentals programs, things that aren't adjustable via like our recreation programs and those things that we have to adjust every year. These are things that the board sets the schedule for. I believe it was February work session, we went over this in pretty good detail during that work session. As part of your packet, your attachment, it shows what we provided you during that work session, what we're planning to eliminate, the changes. No, we have not made any other changes since we discussed this in February, so before you tonight are the recommended changes. They are in red or noted in red to the schedule of fees. Most notably, what I would like to say for the record is we've simplified the picnic shelter rentals where we used to have prime, non-prime, resident, non-resident. We just went to a solid fee structure. Outdoor athletics is, we eliminated a couple things that we had put in place a few years ago, and it was never utilized, and so we just took it off of there just to clean up the document a little bit. One of the things that we are adding, which will be the next item on the agenda, is the coaching credit program. This is what we've discussed. I wanted this in the schedule of fees so that it also is seen by the city council, but it's not something that we as staff can just change anytime. Has to be approved by the board to make those changes for that coaching program. And finally, the last addition is the legacy program, which we've been doing for years. It's never really been on this schedule, but we're making some changes to it, and we wanted to identify this as one of those things that the park board is in charge of, not necessarily staff. So this is something that you would approve the fee structure for. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, and that concludes our staff report.
Any questions for the director? Okay. After going through that, do I have a first motion for approval?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
we'll start with the new business item of the schedule of fees. Move for the approval of the noted updated changes that were just mentioned to the schedule of fees for fiscal year 2027.
Excellent. Hearing a first for 2027. Do I have a second?
Yes, I will definitely second that.
Hearing a first and second. Any discussion? All right. Move to vote. All those in favor? Passes 7-0. One absent?
Yes,
One absent.
yes. I misspoke at the beginning during roll call. I said everyone's present, but Ms. Harrison is absent tonight.
All of us are present.
It's all of you. Everyone present is here.
All right. Looks like next on there is the sportsmanship coaching program.
Yes, sir. I'll ask Mr. Brennan to take the lead on this item.
Thanks.
Thank you, Director. Presented before you is our sportsmanship coaching program. I have to say that slowly, I learned, or I'm going to bungle that name. I believe this was first introduced to you back during our February work session, but wanted to give a brief recap on what is included within this program, because there's two different aspects to it. That first aspect is we'll call our sportsmanship coaching. That is for all of our coaches that volunteer for us. They meet the requirements before, during, and after the season. Those that do meet those requirements will receive a $15 reimbursement applied to their account with us that they can use to, they can use that credit, that reimbursement towards any of our programs, but it doesn't have to just be for our sports programs. It can be for a painting class or summer camp, or it can go towards facility reservations. That's the second aspect to that is the coaching certification through the National Alliance of Youth Sports. This is also open to all of our coaches that volunteer for us. We don't require them to, but we do encourage and recommend that they do. It's a good resource to have. Those that receive the certification and show the certification to us will receive a $50 reimbursement. That reimbursement, unlike the $15 reimbursement, that $50 reimbursement is a one-time, once-a-year reimbursement that'll go towards their household, and they can use it just like they can for the $15 reimbursement. They can do this yearly, but they'd have to reapply every year for that $50 reimbursement. So with that, that concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I'll start with the questions. And forgive me, I do not remember with the National Alliance for Youth, that certification. Is there a fee to get that certification?
There is a fee. It's a $20 fee to receive to take the course and receive the certification.
Yep. And you need to re-up that yearly.
Correct.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. With no other questions, do I have a motion for approval of the sportsmanship coaching program?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move for the approval of the sportsman's coaching program.
Hearing a first, do I have a second?
Yes, I would second that.
Thank you. Having a first and second, is there any discussion? Nope. All those in favor? Passes 7-0, 7-0, whatever. One absent. We'll move on to Park Board Bylaws Amendment. I have to say that one slow.
So this evening for item C, Park Board bylaws, we do have an amendment to our bylaws. In November of last year, 2025, the City Council amended the city code that incorporates the tree board from an independent board into a subcommittee of the Park Board. There were several reasons for that, which the Park Board was aware. We actually addressed that in October of last year. So this is nothing new. This has actually been in place since January. What we're doing tonight is just cleaning up our bylaws to ensure that they represent what the municipal code says, that the tree board, an official board of the city, is an appointed board of the Park Board. It's a subcommittee is what it is. So what I've done this evening for you is I've taken the bylaws, actually copied in the exact words from the municipal code, plugged them in there, and this is for an amendment tonight. Eventually, what I'd like to do within the next year, or maybe this year, or maybe next year, is go through a review of the bylaws, since our board is essentially turned over since the last time we reviewed these bylaws, and so it's important that you guys know what they are, so it's good that you got it in the packet, but I'd like to put this on the work session just to go over and review it. We don't have to make any changes, but just to have it in front of you. But tonight is just to clean up some language and to make sure that we're being consistent. So if you have questions on that, it is on page 4 of your bylaws and page 30 of your packet. You can see that it is copied in there. I am happy to answer any questions regarding this amendment, and that concludes staff report.
Any questions? Nope. Okay. With no questions, do I have a motion for passing this bylaw and to have a subcommittee for the tree board under the Parks and Recreation?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move for the approval of, it's identified in our notes as Article 8, Chapter 260, I believe it is, Tree Board Updated Amendment to the Parks and Rec Board bylaws.
Hearing a first, do we have a second?
Yes, I would second that.
Thank you, Dean. Any discussion? Nope. All those in favor? Good. All those people that are going to be on the committee approve, so that's good. 7-0, 1 absent. Now to the fun stuff, the award of contract for the outdoor video.
Yes, sir. Tonight, item D within our packet is the award of contract for our outdoor video display signs. The board knows that we have been working on this project, it feels like, for years, when the city council initially designated funds for this. Part of the delay was waiting for the park development to catch up to the idea of installing the signs. Now that we have both phases of the rack established, we would like to install the sign at the roundabout at the rack. So the contract includes the installation of 2 signs. One will be at Recreation Park in front of the rack, and one will be at Hawk Ridge Park. They're on 2 different calendars specified within the contract. I'll start with the first sign, which is at the Raymore Activity Center at the roundabout. A couple things to note about that particular item is there is currently a monument sign at the roundabout that says Recreation Park. As you go around it, it's right in front of the rack on that side of it. Part of the contract is that we, as a Parks Department, will remove the old sign and clear the land, or clear that space, and then the contractors will come in and install, run conduit, and power up this digital sign through the rack. That contract has a date of, I believe it's 120 days of completion. That may be give or take depending on lead time on delivery of the electronics. Depending, we don't know, but we'll address that once we get a contract in place and they can officially order it. So that will be the first of the 2 signs installed. We'll do that immediately, as obviously Recreation Park is our busiest. One thing to note on that sign, I know there's schematics within your packet. That sign will be stationed and set up just like the monument sign is out there now. So it's a one-sided sign. And shouldn't be any different about the same location. By putting out there, we avoid regulations for codes, violations from signs and all that, which we know we don't want to be in bad graces of the codes department. So the second phase of this contract is the Hawk Ridge Park sign. This one is, we went ahead and put it in this contract because we've already developed the design for it. We've already went through the process of ordering the program, or not ordering, but selecting the program. This sign will be, I believe there's a map within your packet showing where it's at, but it will be in the new parking lot off Sunset. This one will be a perpendicular to Sunset and will be a two-sided sign. So you'll see it coming from both directions of traffic. There is no contract or no calendar specific date of completion on this because it's included in the construction of the plaza, the shelter, which should be going out to bid within some point this summer. So we wanted to have this contract in place so that when they're ready to go to bid the shelter, it can all come together, because the contractor for the shelter is the one who's going to be running the electric to the site. They will be ordering the block and the supplies so that it matches what is already out there. So we're trying to align these two contractors to work together so we have a continuity between the two individual projects. So I can't give you a date of completion on that one other than when we start building Hawk Ridge Park out, this will be ready to go and they will be ready to go as well. And I am happy to answer any questions. I know we've talked about these signs for years and years. Pretty excited to go ahead and get these things wrapped up and done. We've been working on selection of, how many of us was there? 5 or 6 of us, and we demoed 5 or 6 different programs, computer software programs, digital audio, video, all of that stuff. Selected it, and then we designed the signs around that. And so we're happy to get this thing off of our plate as well. But I think these signs will be well received. And we've already, as a park board, last year approved an outdoor video sign policy of what can go on there, how it can be approved. So we're ready to go as soon as these things go live. I'll answer any questions that you might have, and that concludes staff report. I guess I should say who we're recommending the award of the contract and how much that's for. So I'll go ahead and take care of that part. Award of contract goes to Heartland Sign. We had 3 bids received when we submitted this. Heartland Sign is the best lowest bidder. They supplied everything that we asked for. A local Kansas City company, so local representative. The actual contract for both signs is $137,628 to do them both. And now I recommend award of contract.
Any questions for the director? Yeah, Dan.
Yeah, I had a couple questions. It looks like both these signs identify the park without the screen being on. Is that correct? They say which park it is.
Yes, sir.
Are these on a schedule? Like, what time of day are they on? Are they on all night, or do they shut off at a certain time of night?
That will all be at our discretion.
At our discretion?
Yes.
Okay.
I would anticipate from, I have not talked to the chief of police or even the communications department on like a closing of that, but I would anticipate at a certain time in the evening, it goes to a standard screen where it's, dimmed and not flashing all night long.
Was my concern. I've got another concern with the contract, number 10, the exclusions. So
What page are you on?
rock excavation is excluded from the cost of this, and I'm on page, I don't have a page number. Listed number 10 in the contract. But so what are we to do? Like, I see at Rec Park, there's for sure a lot of rock near the sign location. I guess, why was that excluded? And what's our plan when they do hit rock and you got to run conduit through that? Are we going to add to this contract cost? And then how can we make sure that that cost doesn't get out of hand is my question.
On both locations, number one, at Hawk Ridge Park, we've already excavated that to build the parking lot, so we know that the underground where the footings are clean and ready to go, and that contractor will be in charge of this. On this particular one, when we remove the current monument sign, it's already on a footer underground, so when we take that out, we're not expecting anything there. So we removed that from the contract so that we can get a better price, and then we'll take on that internally if there's anything.
So we're running conduit from a location to the, we'll be below ground a foot or so.
Yeah.
Or probably a foot and a half, so, I'm just looking at the picture, I just see rocks right at below the sign. So I was just curious if that does happen, do we have a plan to pay for that? Because it's not included in this contract.
I will say, the picture that you're looking at, all that rock was brought in for that drainage. None of that was there. There shouldn't be too much rock around there. We didn't hit rock whenever we had the rack put in. So we are not anticipating hitting any rock.
Well,
Okay.
at that site, prior to the roundabout and all of that, there used to be what we called the salt barn, which was the old farmhouse, and that barn was where we excavated all that down 3 and 4 feet and brought back in topsoil and filled that because nothing would grow. So when we say we don't expect it, it's because we've had a history with that particular area, and we really don't expect it.
Okay, that helps alleviate my concerns, so thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.
Good question, Dan. Any other questions?
One more, real slight one. The pictures appear that the signs are LED. I'm assuming they are.
Yes, sir.
Super low wattage.
Yes, sir.
No worries there.
No worries.
Gotcha.
I want it to be like Vegas. Any other questions for the director? Okay. With that, do we have a motion for approval with, now I forgot who it was, with Heartland Sign and Lighting to move forward?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move for the contract approval for the outdoor video display signs with Heartland Sign and Lighting in the amount of $137,628.
Thank you. Hearing a first, do we have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? Nope. All those in favor? Passes 7-0, 1 absent. Now, award of contract for Good Parkway.
I'm getting there.
Oh, works.
A lot of stuff here. So finally tonight, on item E of our new business, is the award of contract for the Good Parkway South Trail Design. The Park Board will remember in 2024, we approved a special obligation maintenance bond for the repair and replacement of our trail system. This particular portion of the trail is the Good Parkway South, which is between Fox Ridge Drive and North Cass Parkway. So it is the furthest trail portion that we are in charge of to the south. And I will also say it is the most in need of repair, which is why it's taken so long to do. This was not one where the previous trail work we've done where Steve and I go out and count how many panels and just do some math and give to the contractor of what's to be replaced. This one will take a significant portion of work to redesign it because of the floodplain that it's in. It also includes a low water crossing. We know that it was built in 2010, 2011? Yeah, somewhere in that time frame. So we know we've got some age on it, and those low water crossings don't last forever. As we have learned over the past few weeks during the pretty extensive rain that we've had in our weather, that floodplain is a floodplain. It water rises and it's underwater, and when it recedes, we've got a mess to clean up, and the cycle just continues to go. However, I will also say it's a pretty beloved trail. People like it down there. They want to, when it's, when the weather is cooperating and everything's nice and dry, it is used frequently. So it is definitely worth taking a look at to repair and redesign it. So tonight, what we have done is worked with our engineering department to coordinate a plan, and we approached it to do some stuff in-house. And when I say we've been working on this for a long time, we've actually in-house been working with the engineering and our stormwater engineering team. Can we do a project of this size in-house? Can we design this ourselves? What can we do? And quite frankly, it just, the more you look at it, the bigger the project becomes, and it was just more than we could take in-house. So having the luxury of having this special obligation bond and the money specifically designated to trails, we're taking the opportunity to bring in a firm that specializes in stormwater trail systems and working this type of thing. We opened bids for the design of this, and we received 6 proposals, very good proposals. And we had 6 staff members over the course of 3 different departments individually take the proposals, which I'm telling you is quality reading. When you've got 6 proposals reading about stormwater, it's a long day. But we had a scoring sheet where each of us scored them independently of each other, and then I tallied the scoring sheet. And within that score, there was a pretty significant spread, 13 points higher of the recommended George Butler Associates, who we were recommending tonight. There is a familiarity of this firm with the city of Raymore. They've done projects with us prior to this with engineering, and they're familiar with our area of town, and they know the importance of what our trail system means to our community. So we feel like this is a good partnership with them. One of the things that we will address, the things that will be addressed with this trail system is we will look at the location of the trail. I'm going to go in a little bit more in depth of this because of the recent weather and just the heightened, people are aware of what's happening in the trail system right now, and this is a hot topic. So one of the things that we will address is the location of the actual concrete, the proximity of it next to the creek. We will take out panels that need to be taken out. We will reroute, extend it off out into the meadow further from the creek, and reestablish what's the word I'm looking for? We're going to put riprap along the bank of the creek and keep that creek from eroding back into the park. And so we'll strengthen the creek bank with riprap. That's part one of that, is where we can move the trail, we will move it away and secure the creek so that it doesn't undermine like it has been. The other thing is we will include a survey that this is where we recognize that we didn't have the tools in-house to do this kind of thing. Doing a survey that also includes stormwater flooding, 10, 20, 50, 100-year floods, what those levels are, and how high we need or can raise our trail to accommodate those floods and not be underwater. So this design will incorporate the surveying of that. It will also include recommendations on, do we want to use the boardwalk system like we've used at Recreation Park with pretty great success, behind Centerview with good success? Is that something that would qualify and work down there without getting damage due to the flooding? Or do we need to address this even further and just go up and do a steel bridge like we have in other portions of that trail system? This particular contract, this design will address those things. The other thing that it will take into account is the ADA accessibility of that system. On the north side, coming off Fox Ridge, it's ADA compliant from the sidewalk, but there is no ADA ramp there, so we want to look at the entrance of it from the north side. But if you go on the south side approaching North Cass, it's down low and it really just comes up pretty steep. And we want to eliminate that and look at some ways of how we can ease that grade a little bit for a more ADA compliant entrance on the trail on that side. The other thing we want to look at on this is how, once our design is complete, how does it contain floodwaters? Are we rerouting? Do we have swales and grades to kind of push water and move? But we also need to take into account what we do, what's it going to do to the homes? Are we going to backfill and avoid flooding backyards? I mean, that's what this design is for, is so that when we have a finished product, we have one that we can count on and it will outlast the generations represented in this room. And that's the goal. So that's what we asked for in the proposals. That's why we read them through pretty thoroughly. We scored them pretty, I feel like the scoring sheet was fairly hard. George Butler and Associates came out as the recommended. Ironically, it came out of the 6. It was the top pick of, I believe, 5 of the 6 in the scoring. So we submitted the score sheet to the city manager. He reviewed it as well and recommended I bring it to the park board. So we are recommending George Butler and Associates to design the Good Parkway South Trail at $89,462. The schedule on this is pretty aggressive because of the nature of the flooding. We don't have years to get this done. We need to get this done before next spring if possible. So this will go to approval tonight. If the park board approves it, it goes straight to city council. City council approves it, they get to a notice to proceed the 3rd week of June. And we're designing, and their goal is to have designs complete by fall, construction bid, plans ready to go, and we are open for construction bidding late fall and a construction over the winter, which is suitable for that particular area. So I say that not pinning me down to it, but to let you know, I mean, our intent is to be aggressive and get this thing done. A lot of that will depend on lead time, depending on whether we buy the modular boardwalks or if we're buying a steel bridge. Construction is dependent on the delivery of those items. I know that was a long staff report, but I'm happy to answer any questions should you have any, but staff does recommend award of contract. And that concludes staff report.
Any questions for the director?
I have a couple, just out of curiosity of this stuff, because I haven't seen the area. But in the designs, how many were there proposals? 6?
6.
Was there a big variance in the way they approached it, the 6 people, or was it all pretty much the same approach?
I would say the biggest variance is philosophy of the approach. Not necessarily the work that they're going to do, because it's pretty standard once you get down into what you're doing, but it was the way they were approaching to get there. Some of them were recommending meetings with board members and commission members and you know, not necessarily homeowners, but an overall inclusion of the city process. Not really knowing how we work, and not that that's a bad process, but that was one approach. Another one was working directly with staff to develop a plan and then going to the park board with the plan. You know, it's just a philosophy of how you do it. I think that would be the one thing I pointed out. The second would be what to do with the low water crossing. There were a lot of different opinions on, do you raise up and go a bridge over the top? Do you take it all out and rebuild a new one that will function properly and take us to the next, 20 years? There was a lot, is it all grading and you just make a new creek? And, there was just a ton of different approaches on what they think we ought to do. We felt, based on the scoring, I'll say collectively, we felt like George Butler's approach more fit in alignment with what staff envisioned. And would that be accurate? Todd and Steve were both scores on that as well. And so hopefully that answered your question. None of the approaches were bad. I will say that. I mean, you could have picked any of the 6 and feel like you're getting a good project. But that's why you do the scoring sheets.
Oh, that's great. And then that played right into the next one. So you keep saying creek. So like the last rains we had, which was a lot, does this rush or is it just rise? You know what I'm talking about? It's like, is there further, like this could really like wash a car away if it was in there?
On a normal day, it's just a stormwater creek. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not, it can be as wide as this table in some areas and as wide as from me to you and others. When I would say at about a 2-inch rain, you'll see it starting to rise. At a 4-inch rain, it's flowing pretty good. The rains that we've had where the ground's already saturated and it doesn't take much, this thing was roaring. I mean, Steve and I have probably seen it like this a few times, but it's not, I mean, the engineering department would call it, a 50-year flood.
Okay.
It's not common, but you never know year to year what you're going to get. But it's definitely taken some volume of water. I mean,
Yeah,
Mr. Keys
so
lives-
it actually goes behind my property.
Oh, okay.
I'm not down where my area was done last summer, but you can see that creek from my back deck, and it was moving pretty good on Sunday. So,
which is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a floodplain.
and I will say that my new area handled it very well. It flowed right well, and we had the rock riprap all there and everything, and it was done very well.
And he's just bringing back old memories of when I was a kid and he's playing the flooded creeks and
Yeah.
was wondering. And I have no doubt that you all are going to do a fantastic, thorough job every time. So it was just more about curiosities about what this thing is. So thank you for that.
And to note, it is on the back end of the park system. I mean, that particular section of creek is taking everything before it disperses out into fields and farms and ranches. I mean, all of the subdivision stormwater flows in there. So it's seeing the worst of the worst because it's at the end. And so it's just time. It was developed and it worked really well, and it's just aged out and time to fix it.
Sounds awesome.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Is this contract looking downstream at all to decide how to help it move better?
Yes.
Okay.
That is, in the RFQ, there were like 5 or 6 points of things we wanted them to address. One of them was like, it's not just fixing what we have. What are we doing to ensure that the water is not going to cause damage? And the other thing, like we mentioned before, is it's very important to us to not make a decision that has a consequence somewhere else. We want to make sure what we're doing isn't going to cause a problem somewhere else, which is what you're talking about. So part of the surveying will include like, if we do swales and stuff here, it's where's it going to go? Because you're not taking away the water, you're just displacing it, moving it somewhere else. So what's going to happen with that? So
You mentioned a lot of, I would say, variations in what a possible design can look like. Do we have a budget we're trying to hit with this design? Are we telling them that we need to hit a certain budget? because I could see recommendations, and, you know, going beyond what we are already have allocated for this project. So have we tasked them with meeting a certain budget with their design, is my question.
We have not identified a budget for the overall project at this point. That will be part of the initial meetings when the contract is in place and we can sit down with them. At that point, we'll outline expectations and the city manager will assist with making sure the budget is appropriate for what the solutions are gonna be.
Any others?
And you, as a board, will see that as well. That we're not gonna take this and then go build it without bringing the designs and, so before we ever get to that point, we'll bring back what their findings and recommendations are so that you see those things as well before we go to the next phase. So,
Was there any talk about a retention pond or anything of that sort?
no, not
Okay.
at this point.
Okay.
And I would say, I don't know that would, because it floods and then flows out, I don't know what a retention pond would do, but they did talk about a lot of swales and grading that will move the water differently. They talked a lot of checkpoints and check dams to help slow things down in some of those areas. They may bring that up, but nothing was brought up. But I will say, what we've seen so far out of all this are paper proposals. So we'll get to sit down and talk to them more thoroughly once we have a contract.
Excellent. All right. Any others? Just making sure. Okay. Do I have a motion for approval of the contract to George Butler Associates?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move for the contract approval for the design and oversight of the Good Parkway South Trail with George Butler Associates, Inc. in the amount of $89,462.
Thank you. Hearing a first, do we have a second?
Yeah, I would like to second that.
Hearing a first and second, do we have any discussion? All those in favor? Passes 7-0, one absent. That concludes new business. I don't see anybody here for public comment. We'll move to board member comment. Jack, I'm going to start with you. If you have anything you'd like to say, it's your first, and if you don't, that's totally fine.
No comment.
Dan?
My only comment is just appreciate staff's hard work on all these projects we're doing. And, you know, I'm excited to see changes, you know, things are getting built. You'll see some new signs. You'll see some nice new trails. So it's an exciting time in Raymore, and I'm just excited to be a part of it.
Thank you, Dan. Ken?
Just want to give a shout out to Todd, Nick, and Cecilia. Whatever you're doing is working. Keep doing it. This high number of enrollments is impressive. So, good job.
Mike?
Just one comment. I'm glad to see that made the decision to move Farmers Market back to Hannah Park, and I hope that residents will take advantage of that. Those were some thoughts that they had passed along, and we're trying to, with the purchase of the land and tree removal and the residents that's going to be removed, Hannah's going to turn into a very, very populous place, and I'm glad to see the market's going to move back there.
Thank you. Josh?
Just quickly, I know the weather's been challenging lately with all the rain and even a small tornado that hit Raymore and Belton area. and all the communication on that was good. The first responders did a good job and everything like that. But I know that makes it challenging for your Parks and Recreation and getting the scheduling and the parking lot situation. So hopefully we can find a remedy to that soon.
Chris?
I don't have a comment.
Yeah, I was gonna thank Steve, because I'm sure he and his guys were help picking up stuff afterwards, but he's not here, so. Yeah, I know, he had to step out. Cecilia, Nick, thank you for coming and sharing your stuff, appreciate it. I was gonna thank Todd for just making an appearance, but he actually spoke later on, so thank you guys. But, yeah, very excited for what's coming up and all of that, so. Any other comments? Do I have motion for adjournment? Adjournment. Lord.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move for adjournment of tonight's regular meeting of the Parks Board.
Having a first, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? We are adjourned.